Alright, this will be a video on how to make a earbud wrap. I don't have a finished one to show you, but these are some ones I'm making out of exotic leather. But yeah, let's get started. Generally, the shape I've worked out that I like is about 2 inches in diameter, or width. The width of it's about 2 inches, so we're just gonna, actually we'll just pick that line and I'll measure 2 inches width. A couple different spots here. 2. Draw our line. Make our cut. I like the circle cutters. You can use a razor knife, however you want to make that. Just as long as you're cutting a nice straight line. This is just making the template for it. Now I'm just going to pick an end and we're going to chop that end off with a nice curve. I want the curve to be straight, so I'm going to mark a line, a couple marks there and there, and we want it to be about 3 inches long. So I'm going to do mark another couple marks at 3 inches. Now this will give us lots of room for snaps, and it could be for a big cord keeper, so a USB charging cord or whatever. So I've got a couple of marks, and I'm just going to use those to line up my cutting tool. Another way to do this is just get something semicircular and use a razor knife, right, and then cut a semicircle. These come in real handy. I got them pretty cheap off of I think it was Amazon. I think I buy everything from Amazon. But next we want to mark our holes. So how do I want to do this? I want to mark the center right about that same, along those marks. So that'll be just a 1/2 inch in from the very, very tippy end. So what am I looking at here? I'm looking at looking 60, so 30, so I want 10, 20, is that right? 50, so 25, 10, 20. That should be the center right there, and I can check that. Oh, I just made it 2 inches wide. So my center is going to be 1 inch. I made that way harder than I needed to. Just under 1 inch. All right, so that's good. So those are going to be the holes for the snaps. Now we need a spot for the cord keep, a little spot to feed the cord through. This isn't going to be very scientific. I just know I want something offset and angled on each side. So maybe about there, maybe about there. This is going to be a pretty big cord wrap. It'll take some big cords. So I'm just going to eyeball that. This is a 1/2 inch wide oblong punch. Like everything else, I think I got it from Amazon. And then this is a pretty small circular punch. You want something just big enough to feed the largest part of your snap post through. So see how those line up? That's about how big I want. Just put that right in the mark. And then assuming this comes out, this works out, now I have a template for all the others. So if this is how I want them to look, if that turns out to be the right size. And I've done different ones in different sizes in the past. Here's a smaller one I used to do. So this is going to be monstrously big compared to what I used to make. But people had said that this was too small. It was too tight of an earbud wrap. So, going big. I'm just going to use some crappy scrap leather here. Nothing real fancy. And you just lay it out, find a spot, use your awl, trace out your lines that you're going to cut. I said crappy leather. This is from Red Wing. It's Red Wing leather used for boots. I just don't like it for what I do, so I call it crappy leather. But it was free. A friend in Minnesota had given it to me, so, you know, there you go. All right. There it is. Now I just have to cut it out and put put snaps in it. So let's get it cut. There's no stitching on these. They're really minimal amount of work. If you're just gonna do a non-fancy one, you know, just like this. I just cut a 2-inch wide piece of leather. Cut my semicircular end shape. Punch my holes. And this hole. Of course, I'm going to get this done. I don't have a cord to wrap in it to show you, but we'll figure something out. Now all I got to do is put snaps in. Setting snaps is kind of an art in its own right. There's a cap. Each of these parts has special names. I don't know what they are other than cap and then 3 other pieces. But I do know that the cap you're going to want on the outside, and the cap is the one that's going to be like what you call the top. So you want it kind of rounded, and there's a hole there for that to hold the snap. Then I put that piece in there. And I really struggled with snaps for a long time, getting them right, until I figured out to put this on first. This piece on the snap thing, then push it down and kind of hold it down with my fingers while I tapped it on. The key is getting that bottom part pushed down while you're setting the snap. I had a lot of these snaps come apart, and that was embarrassing, you know, because you give these things to customers and then it's like, yeah, what the crap. Now for the bottom part, you turn this over. This gets hammered on the flat side. So I'm going to push that through there. Just set that on there. Set on the flat side of the little anvil, and this uses, instead of this going inside this piece, this nub goes inside the hole. So this one's a lot easier to do. There it is. Assuming my snap is set, there's my earbud wrap. And pretty simple to make. You get into a groove, you start making 10, 15, 20 of these. In fact, I just got an order for 20 of them. Got 10 bucks a piece. So if I had a cord, I'll show you what that looks like. I'm just going to grab this. So this would be like, oh, that's not going to work. I'll show you a different video. Gotta go find a cord.